Hi guys, welcome to my channel Blu-ray Ben, and today what I'm going to do is something I haven't done for a very long time. I'm going to do a top 10 list. Today's list is going to be the 10 best movie plot twists. Just before I start, I just want to say that I didn't realise there were so many great movies out there with amazing movie plot twists. I actually wrote a list down of my favourites and I actually got up to 27. So yeah, it's been very difficult for me to wind this down to 10, and what I've actually done is I'm going to show you the 10, my favourite, or the best 10 that I have. I've also put in, just before, my favourite, I think 5 or 6 honourable mentions, but there are still a few movies that I wanted to put on the list that didn't make the cut. So definitely give me some recommendations if, for some movie plot twists that are amazing that I haven't put in this list. But just to let you know, I do have a few that didn't make the cut. Okay, so this is going to be one of these lists that I'm going to have to do quite quickly because, if I explain too much about the film, I'm going to give the plot twist away, and that's what I don't want to do. So basically, if you're watching this video, it's because you're interested in finding out, maybe some movies that you haven't seen that have got great movie plot twists. And yeah, so just sort of listen to the title and a bit about the movie which I'm going to talk about, and then you can go and check it out for yourself. And then let me know down below if you enjoyed the movie in general and also the twist. Okay, so we're going to start from number 10. We're going to go up to number 1, and just before I do my number 1, I'm going to list off those honourable mentions too. So the first one, I've got them all written down here, otherwise I'm not going to remember the order and all these things. So the first one is a very controversial sort of movie ending, which is from a Stephen King adaptation, The Mist, from 2007. This is directed by Frank Darabont, who's done a lot of Stephen King adaptations, including The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. I don't know if some others as well. An amazing cast. Many of the cast also were in other movie adaptations, as well as The Walking Dead, which was also the first season, I think, was produced by Frank Darabont. But the main actor is Thomas Jane, a great actor who, I think, for me, his most memorable movie has to be either The Punisher or Deep Blue Sea, but great actor, and he's the protagonist here. And basically it's about a group of people that get trapped inside a grocery store or a supermarket, in the United States, because a mist comes over the mountains and covers the complete town, and they quickly realise that if you go out into the mist, you get killed by something that they're not sure what it is. So basically the whole movie is sort of for them trying to find ways to escape the supermarket and get through the mist, without obviously being killed. And the ending is, as I said, very controversial, basically because it differs from the Stephen King's novel. Frank Darabont wanted to go with something a lot darker, a lot more more controversial, basically, and I absolutely loved it. But it's one of those love it or hate it movie endings, and some people absolutely hate it because it differs from the book. I think it was a really, really good plot twist, and I was just left with my mouth open when I saw what happened at the end. So definitely check out The Mist. It's a sort of creature feature from 2007. Number 9 is a Spanish movie which I've talked about quite a lot because I do live in Spain and I have a lot of sort of love for Spanish cinema. And this one is a psychological thriller called The Skin I Live In, and it's directed by Pedro Almodóvar, who's a very famous director over here in Spain, also throughout the world. And it's a 2007 movie. And it's very difficult to talk about this movie without giving away the twist. It stars Antonio Banderas as the protagonist, and basically he's I don't know if he's a prosthetic surgeon or something like that, something along the lines of that, and he wants to sort of try doing new techniques on humans, but they're not allowed legally, so he has to sort of find other ways to sort of do it in his house without people knowing. And he actually kidnaps someone to do these tests on, and he keeps them trapped inside his house. So basically it just follows his work on this person and how this person's sort of dealing with the situation. She's also trying to escape. And basically at the end of the movie there's a huge plot twist that I didn't see coming at all, and it just it's one of those movies that when you realise what actually has happened in this twist, that you sort of start looking back at the film and you sort of start realising, oh, it's true, I could actually anticipated that if I'd known, and things like that. So it's a really great Spanish movie, so you have to watch it with subtitles unless you obviously speak Spanish. Antonio Banderas, obviously a great actor and a great director, Pedro Almodóvar. Amazing film with amazing twist. So number 8 is a science fiction movie from 2009, which is Moon. It's directed by Duncan Jones and stars Sam Rockwell. Also, it stars Kevin Spacey, but he's actually just the voice of a robot in the movie. He doesn't actually he's not on screen. This is an amazing science fiction movie, which took me a long time to watch. You know, I wasn't really interested in it, and in the end I watched it because I love Sam Rockwell. And basically it's about, you know, Earth are mining the moon for, I can't remember, there's like a material that is sort of really valuable on the moon, and they are trying to harvest it. So they have a base set up on the moon, and Sam Rockwell is the guy sort of that's in charge of maintaining the harvesters, you know, and all the maintenance that needs to be done on this station. And he only needs one person, so he's up there basically alone, just with a robot, voiced by Kevin Spacey. And you know, he's in contact with Earth, but very sort of very rarely through video conference to speak, you know, send videos to his wife, I think is pregnant, and things like that. And basically it's about him, you know, dealing with the situation, being alone for so long on the moon, and sort of starts to have problems, you know, psychological problems, start to go crazy. And at the end of the movie, there's a plot twist that sort of brings everything into perspective, and it's just something I didn't expect at all. And you know, everything's completely changed 180 degrees with what you think was actually happening with the Earth and the moon and the company which mining the moon, and it's just a huge shock. So definitely check out Moon. It's a great science fiction movie, and obviously Sam Rockwell, an amazing actor. He gives a great performance in this movie. Okay, number 7 is The Prestige, 2006 Christopher Nolan film starring Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. And basically it's about stage magicians, you know, illusionists and things like that. And basically these two sort of protagonists, Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, they're both magicians, stage magicians and illusionists. And they're always sort of, not fighting physically, but they're always sort of trying to outdo each other, you know, with the best trick, and try to fill the theatres as much as they can, become the most famous, they can make some money. You know, and they're always trying to sort of investigate how the other one's tricks are doing and things like that. And throughout the whole film, you're just following these two and how they're, you know, having, you know, good moments and bad moments with relation to, you know, their magic, and obviously competing with each other. And at the end of the film, once again, a huge plot twist that actually changes completely the whole way that you looked at all the whole film, and the characters and how they were doing magic tricks. And it just, you know, leaves you you know, really interested in the world of magic, but also, you know, shocked that these characters can go to you know, such lengths to try and sort of beat each other and become the most famous magicians. So it's an amazing film from 2006, and obviously Christopher Nolan, an amazing director, so all of his movies, you know, have to think a lot, and at the end of them they're always sort of really satisfying, you know, when you understand what's happened throughout the whole film. Okay, number 6 is an older classic horror from Alfred Hitchcock, 1960, Psycho. I'm sure most of you have already seen this movie. If you haven't, where have you been? Basically, it's about a woman who, you know, steals some money from her boss, and she tries to run away. And you know, on her journey trying to escape, she stays at a hotel or a motel, and basically it's owned by this guy called Norman Bates, who's played by Anthony Perkins, and he lives in a house just behind the motel, you know, with his mother. And you know, you obviously see that this guy sort of has a lot of problems, especially dealing with women. And you also see he has a strange relationship with his mother. She's really jealous of him whenever there's a beautiful girl around or in the motel. You know, things start to happen because she doesn't want him spending time with these people. And you're basically following his life and how he's sort of meeting people who come to the motel, and his mother gets angry, and you know, what happens in that situation to protect her son, and the relationship they both have. And at the end of the movie, there's a great plot twist that sort of you know, it just really sets you back and starts you sort of thinking about the character of Anthony Perkins, and you know, what happened to him in his life to get to be, you know, that crazy. And it's just a thoroughly enjoyable film, and I'm sure that if I'd have seen it when it came out in 1960, it would have been, you know, probably the best plot twist of any movie. I can imagine people in the cinema when they find out, you know, the ending, the actual true situation which you were led to believe was something different. I'm sure there were gasps in the cinema. Absolutely amazing. So Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho. Number 5 is a David Fincher movie. I love David Fincher, great director, from 1999, called Fight Club, and this has an absolutely amazing cast. Brad Pitt, Edward Norton and Helena Bonham Carter sort of have this sort of, the characters have a sort of triangle, sexual love triangle, psychological triangle, and basically it's about one guy that meets someone on a plane, I think it's on a plane, and basically after, when he gets home, he realises that there's been an explosion in his flat and he's got nowhere to stay, and because this guy he met on a plane gave him a business card, he decides to ring him up and go and live with him while they're sorting out the problems with his flat, and they start sort of like a relationship very strange relationship, also involving Helena Bonham Carter, and this other character. He's the opposite to Edward Norton in the film. His name's Tyler, and basically the whole film was following their relationship and how they decide to start a fight club, just basically fighting with other people for fun. And at the end of the film you realise there's something that you didn't expect from these two characters. They're sort of related in a way you didn't expect, more than friends. And it's one of these things that at the end of the film there's an amazing soundtrack, and at the end of the film, the last scene, when you realise actually what was actually happening in the film, it just blew me away. And I think it's one of these movies that if someone tells you this plot twist before you watch it, it just ruins the whole film completely. So try and watch it without knowing anything about the film, and you'll absolutely love it. The twist is amazing. Okay, number 4, The Others, a 2001 film directed by Alejandro Amenabar, which is a Spanish director or Mexican, I'm not sure. Ooh, I should really know that. I'm not sure if he's Mexican or Spanish, but it's an American-Spanish production, and basically it stars Nicole Kidman, who's a woman who's on her own in a huge house because her husband's fighting off in the Second World War. It's set in Jersey, I think, in 1945, and basically she wakes up one morning, we find out that she lives alone with her children, very small children, and they have a disease which I think it's photosensitivity. They're sort of allergic to light, so the house is always dark, all the curtains are always closed, everything's really sort of seems sort of dusty and dirty because they never clean anything and open everything up. And we also discover that a few days before that all of the helpers, the servants and the maids had left suddenly, so she has to hire some more maids and servants, and they come in. And basically it's following this woman that's trying to deal with her situation without her husband, with her children have got this really difficult disease, and she doesn't understand why the servants have left, and this leads up to some things that start happening in the house, and we start to believe that the house is actually haunted. And basically it leads up to the end of the film. I can't explain a lot about it, but it's one of these movies that when you find out at the end of the film that the character doesn't realise she is who she actually is, that it just changes completely the things that you were watching. And once again, it's one of these films that if you go back and watch it a second time, you see there's so many clues and hints during the film that are actually leading up to this sort of last impressive moment at the end when they do the twist, that you sort of ask yourself, how didn't I realise that was coming? How didn't I sort of make sense of this before? And that's what makes the plot twist so special. Okay, so we're into the top 3 now. This is a 1995 film directed by Bryan Singer, which is The Usual Suspects, and it stars Kevin Spacey, Benicio del Toro and Gabriel Byrne, amongst other great actors. And this is a very simple plot, but right at the end they do the twist and it just blows you away. It's basically about, I think there's a fire and explosion on a boat, and a lot of people die. I think 30 people die, and the police go to sort of investigate because obviously there's things on the boat that shouldn't have been there. They realise there was a deal going down that was completely illegal, and one of the people that survives, that's actually dying, just before he dies, he says a name, and sort of they start investigating this name that he's given to try and find out what happened and why everyone died on the boat and things like that. And what they do is they bring in the usual suspects, which are the people they sort of arrest to question, always question the same people, the usual suspects they question, because they think they're always involved in this. And basically it's about Kevin Spacey, who's the protagonist, being interviewed by the police and telling the police the story, what happened from months before up to that point when this sort of explosion happened on the boat, and trying to help out the police so they can find out who was the cause of the explosion and who was involved. And right at the end of the film there's a discovery, and you find out that everything that you were watching in the film is completely the opposite, and it just blows you away. I can't explain more than that, otherwise I give away the plot twist. So definitely go check that out. That's The Usual Suspects, an amazing film. Right, number 2, The Sixth Sense. This is another film I'm sure that most people have seen. It's a 1999 film directed by M. Night Shyamalan, who loves these plot twists in his movies, and this was sort of his most famous plot twist ever, and it was absolutely amazing. If you don't know before watching the film, if you don't know what the twist is, you're going to love it. Stars Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment, and basically it's about a child psychologist who is Bruce Willis, who tries to help out, you know, really severely troubled, you know, children who have a lot of problems, and basically he's called to help Haley Joel Osment, who actually has a lot of problems, you know, psychologically, and basically he sees you know, ghosts and dead people, and Bruce Willis is trying to help him you know, with this problem that he has to deal with it. And it just follows the relationship between these two, the psychologist and the child with the problems, all the way through the film, right up to the end when we find out that, you know, there's a lot more problems than we actually thought at the start of the movie, and there's a huge twist which sort of really makes you you know, think about the whole film, what you've been seeing, and once again a lot of you know, hints and clues during the film that you've missed, and you realise that you should have been more, you know, intelligent to see them when you find out the twist at the end of the movie. Good. So those are the top 9. What we're going to do now is I'm going to give some honourable mentions just quickly. The first 2 are also by M. Night Shyamalan. As I said, he loves his plot twists. The first one is The Visit, and then The Village. So definitely go check those out. Great movies. And then the other 4 are movies that I'm just going to name off, and you can go and look for them yourself. The first one is Us, a great movie. It's actually recent. Secret Window starring Johnny Depp. Shutter Island starring Leonardo DiCaprio, great movie, and Oblivion starring Tom Cruise, which is a, you know, a post-apocalyptic sci-fi futuristic movie which I absolutely loved, and the twist was amazing. So yeah, now we're down to number 1, and if you understand your movies, you probably know which movie I'm going to name, and it's Planet of the Apes, the original 1968 movie starring Charlton Heston, directed by Franklin Schnaffer, and yeah. You've probably seen this movie, but if you haven't, basically it's about you know, some astronauts that you know, traveling through time. I think it's they do a light speed jump or something, and they end up on a planet. They don't know where they are, and on this planet, basically, it's controlled by apes, and there are also humans there, but the roles are reversed, and the apes talk, and they're the ones that work, and you know, are more intelligent, and the humans are more ones that they sort of do experiments on, and they can't talk and things like that. And basically it follows you with Taylor Charlton Heston, who gets captured by these apes, and he's trying to understand what's happening on this, you know, strange world. And he gets some help from a couple of the apes there, especially a scientist, and you know, he tries to escape this situation because he's, you know, they want to experiment on him. And right at the end of the movie, when he's trying to escape, he discovers something that, you know, just blows his mind, and as well as the audience's mind as well, because you realise that, you know, they're not where they thought they were. Everything is completely different to what they thought, and you know, he just sort of breaks down because the revelation of what he realises, as well as the audience watching, is just so shocking. So there you go. There are my top 10 lists with some honourable mentions. Definitely leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought of these movies, if you've seen them, what you thought of the plot twists. Give me some recommendations of other movies that have great plot twists. And I'm sorry this video is going on for so long, but there it is. Okay, so give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in a possible top 10 list in the future. Take care, guys.